Welcome to the March 2nd, 2017 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in pop culture. I'm your host, VyseTheBold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And I'm PyroJackFrost.
Okay, so our first segment I want to talk about this week is that the Nintendo Switch is actually coming out tomorrow, and I'm super excited about it. I have mine reserved. I'm going to go pick it up over at Best Buy, and I can't wait to get my hands on it because I'm a huge Zelda fan, I'm a huge Nintendo fan, and I really want this to be a really successful system for Nintendo.
Yeah, I wasn't able to pre-order because by the time I got around to doing it, they were already sold out, which I think is troublesome in its own thing. But I am looking forward to hearing at least how good the console itself is and how good these games are. Because I've been hearing a little bit of mixed reviews, actually, from some news sources that I read.
Really? I actually heard that Zelda is getting perfect scores from a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I heard that Zelda is really good, and the Switch itself is not bad, but I heard that some of the other games are either mediocre or not that great. A lot of people are saying that 1-2 Switch should have been a pack-in.
Yeah, so, here's my thought on 1-2 Switch. I'm going to buy it, but it's mostly not for me. It's for when other people come over and kind of want to try it. I know that it'll probably be a really short, underdeveloped kind of game that probably won't have a whole lot of features and a lot to do in it, but it'll probably be a fun little gimmick thing to show people the system. Especially people that don't usually play a lot of video games, I think will have a lot of fun with it. I
could see that.
I curbed my expectations for that type of thing. When getting a game like that, I know what I'm getting. I kind of did that with PlayStation VR Worlds. That game is mostly a tech demo. It kind of shows off what the VR helmet can do, rather than actually giving you a really good gaming experience in general. It kind of just is almost like a demo, but it's more full-featured and more has a higher budget than a demo, I would say. But
yeah, I heard that 1-2 Switch is fun, and the number of games in it is actually pretty crazy. That there's like 30 plus mini games in it, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty good.
But they all kind of are based on similar motions.
I see.
So I mean, not that there's very limited motions, but even if there's, let's say, 5 different motions and 6 games each, that's still a little repetitive, even though they're a different theme, so it might feel like you're doing something different. But I could see it being just a way to check out all the things the Switch can do. But that's kind of why I think it should be a pack-in also, because if all it's doing is showing off the console, then it's not really much of a game itself. Because I want to see what's in the game other than just a bunch of mini games.
Yeah, I would agree with that, that sentiment. But again, it's not really for me. It's for people that are coming over that want to kind of try it and see that it's a new piece of technology and haven't bought it for themselves yet. So I've really curbed my expectations of it. It's expensive for that kind of purchase, but
yeah,
I feel like if I didn't have it, it wouldn't do the system justice. So I'm getting that Zelda and the second game that I'm excited about. I'm gonna get Super Bomberman R.
I don't know what to think, because I also am looking forward to that. That was the one game that I heard of that I'm like, wow, they're making a new pretty much 2D Bomberman game. I can't wait to try it out. But a lot of people are saying that the multiplayer is just normal multiplayer, and the single player is nothing special. So when you get it, I'd like to hear about it and
Sure.
see if it's actually good. I'd like to try it out myself.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't really know if I'd want to get a Switch just for that. I mean, obviously there's Zelda, but yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm getting it for Zelda. I mean, I'm not mincing any words. I think these two other games are cool, but I did not buy the system for them. I would not have bought the system at this point if it weren't for Zelda. I mean, I could technically play it on my Wii U, but I think it'll really sing on the Switch, and I think it's a good excuse to buy the system. So I'm really excited. I love Zelda games, and I can't. And people are loving this one. They're gushing about it right now. So I cannot wait. I'm adventure type games like this, like action adventure games, are my favorite type of game. That's kind of why I want to play Horizon Zero Dawn as well.
Same here.
And there's a ton coming out right now. Nier Automata is coming out as well. There's just so many good games coming out. I mean, Neo, you can kind of say is an action adventure game as well. To some degree, it's a Souls-like, but it's certainly.
I could see that.
Well, the problem is, like, every game
to
ever
that.
is an action-adventure game. Like, that's such a broad genre, it's kind of lost its meaning.
I think it's more action RPGs.
Yeah, so action-adventure games, when I refer to them, I usually mean a game that has descended from Zelda in some sort of way. Or the game adventure, I guess, if you want to get really technical.
Yeah, there it is.
Right? But if you say adventure game, people think like point and click adventure. So I'm being like a little bit more specific.
I mean, maybe you're right, but I mean, I need to be told point and click to think of point and click adventures.
Okay. Well,
when I think of adventure game, I think of like the Telltale games, which is basically
That's
derived from
almost point and
click.
click.
Yeah. So to be more specific, I mean like a Zelda-like. Okay.
Still not following.
God,
There-
Lotus.
There's exploration. I'll name the trappings, right? There's an expansive world to explore. There is treasure to be found. There's puzzles to do, and combat, like action-oriented combat, right? So, like the Souls-like games do have those trappings.
Yeah.
They are kind of like Zelda. They're just a lot harder and more obtuse.
But yeah, they're like a
Zelda
subset.
games. Yeah, they're certainly kind of a spin-off of that kind of genre, for sure. But there's a clear delineation there. But I mean, like 3D Dot Heroes is this type of game, right?
Well, 3D Dot Heroes is very reminiscent of Zelda.
You can even make a case for Kingdom Hearts being like that as well, because it more goes towards the Zelda type gameplay than a regular RPG.
I could see that, yeah.
So I mean, it's somewhere in between an action game and an RPG, but with action-oriented combat.
I could see that.
So, my favorite type of game, I love games like that. I love Nier. So, I cannot wait to play what seems to be one of the best ever, and it's just so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm. Since I didn't get a Switch, and I don't know if I'll be able to get one for a while, that's why I'm curious how Bomberman is and how some of these other games that are coming out are, because if they are like the ones that are, I guess, Switch exclusives, you could say, if they're only okay, then I might just get Breath of the Wild for my Wii U. Because then if the only two games that are coming out for Switch that I really want to play are Bomberman and Legend of Zelda, and Bomberman's only okay, then I might just get Zelda on the Wii U and not even worry about getting a Switch until more games come out later.
I think other than that, like some of the lineup like seems really good. Like they're making it a huge update to Mario Kart 8, which also is considered by many people to be one of the best Mario Kart games, if not the best, because of the amount of content and how good the content is. And they're also improving the one thing that was a huge disappointment in Mario Kart 8, which was the battle mode. Everybody hated the battle mode in that, and in the new one, they're bringing back the old style battle mode from the N64 one.
Yeah,
Nice.
I saw that. That was when I saw like the trailer for that. I was really happy because I loved that mode. In the
That was a
N64
lot of
version.
fun.
Yeah, so I think they took that criticism very seriously, and then they even doubled down on what they're already doing well, which was really good DLC, more characters, more levels, the whole bit. So I don't. There's no way it will be bad. It'll be the best version of. It'll probably be the best Mario Kart game. I mean, people still hold on to the N64 one as the best. In some degree, I do not think it's the best. I always like Double Dash better. But some people
Blasphemy.
really disagree with me.
I prefer 64, but Double Dash was really good.
I love Double Dash. Some people really like the Wii one, but and some people really thought the 3DS one was really great. But I think 8 might be my favorite now.
It's the one on Wii U, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that from what I've seen, that game looks really solid.
And it's a beautiful game. So this will be an even better version of it. Can't wait for that. Some of the games that are coming out with it, like Fast RMX or Remix,
What is that?
So that I don't know if you heard of a Wii U game called Neo. It
No.
is
Oh, the PS4 Dungeon Crawler.
the game is Neo.
Yes.
Is that a Matrix
or
game?
Yeah. Yes or no.
It is a game that is like F-Zero, but it is not F-Zero.
I think I actually have seen that.
Okay.
I don't think there was like any advertising for it, but I did see somebody beat the hell out of it on one of the games done quick marathons. But before it was patched, it was apparently a pretty broken game where you could exploit glitches to win very quickly.
Yeah, so it's a futuristic racing game, not unlike Wipeout or F-Zero, but it more leans towards F-Zero. It doesn't have... I don't think it has combat like Wipeout does.
I don't
and
think
Wipeout
so, yeah.
tends to be feel like a simulation a little bit more than F-Zero ever did. F-Zero feels more arcadey. Whereas Wipeout kind of feels almost as if you're driving one of those things. It's like it feels more like it handles like a real car. But F-Zero has always been about like, arcadey, really fast, and you bounce all over the place when you hit the walls, and I really love F-Zero, so I'm kind of disappointed that Nintendo hasn't announced a new F-Zero game. There hasn't been one since the GameCube, and the GameCube one's awesome.
It's also insanely hard.
The one-player mode is ridiculous.
Yeah, our friend Numenera played it on easy and still had a hell of a time, and he's not bad at these games.
Yeah, no, it's a great game, though. It's a lot of fun. And I really like the N64 one, which went on Wii U recently.
Oh.
And the N64 games that are on the Virtual Console on the Wii U look beautiful. They look way better than the original versions. They took away the filtering and the anti-aliasing.
Oh, by the way, speaking of looking beautiful, I think GX, the GameCube one, was one of the GameCube games that I think could display in progressive, like 40p, as well as 40i. It's
actually one of the rare... I think it's the only GameCube game that can display in widescreen. Like widescreen.
Wow.
I think it's the only one because, like, I think Resident Evil 4 looks like it's widescreen, but the menu items are cut off if you put it in like a widescreen mode on a television. So like it has like a letterbox presentation. However, not everything's in that display area. So technically you wouldn't want to do that. But on F-Zero, I think it actually renders in widescreen.
Crazy.
It's kind of neat. But yeah, I mean, so Fast RMX or Remix, if you want to call it that, is a version of Neo, I think, with all of the DLC or something like that.
Oh.
I could be wrong about that, but that's what I heard. Now, I heard it's a pretty solid game. It's made by Shinen. I don't know if you've ever heard of or Shinen. They've made some. They made the Iridium games back on like
PS2.
No. GBA.
But there was also PS2, right? Like Iridium Runners.
No, different, total different game.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. This one was called Iridium 3D. It was one of the very first GBA games. It was well known for looking beautiful. It wasn't the best playing game, but it looked great in terms of graphically. There's also the Nanostray games they made. And then they made kind of like it was like a game that was kind of like Super Stardust HD. I don't know if you guys ever played that game on PS3.
Nope.
But they made a game that was like it for
I haven't.
3DS. So it's basically like Geometry Wars, but you go on the outside of a geometrical object. So instead of a flat plane like in Geometry Wars, you're on like a sphere and you're moving around the sphere to shoot up things. But it's a twin stick shooter. Does that make sense? So actually, Geometry Wars 3 has that as well.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Geometry Wars 3, like all the stages are different shapes. I didn't really like it as much as the other ones.
I love 3. I think it was great. But anyway, so I may pick that up, but I would want to read reviews first because, I want to make sure it's fun. Mm-hmm. So I Am Setsuna's coming out for it as well. I already have it for PC. In fact, it went on sale last week. So
I've been hearing good things about it, and I heard it's a lot like the Chrono
Trigger,
or Chrono Trigger at least.
Yeah.
But very depressing.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it too.
Depressing games can be really good. Like Fragile Dreams, gameplay was mediocre, but it had a wonderful story. But you must have a box of tissues on you like at all times. And like Corpse Party, freaking miserable the whole way through, but it was a very fulfilling experience.
And most of the rest of the games I don't even really know much about. There's one called Human Resource Machine. There's Just Dance. I'm not picking that up because first of all I can't dance. I think I can dance the more that I drink, but I cannot. Little Inferno and World of Goo are coming out, which were both games on the Wii and Wii U respectively, made by the same company that were actually pretty fun. But I don't see much of a reason to buy them again. A Skylanders game, which isn't my jam, but I'm sure some people like them. And a game called Has Been Heroes, and another game called Snake Pass. Now, there's also a port of Shovel Knight that's coming over, and I think it's going to be the start of a platform to release new Shovel Knight content.
Ooh.
Which I'm excited about. The original version was rebranded as Treasure Trove.
Yep.
And Spectre of Torment, I think, is the Plague Knight DLC.
Or is it the Spectre Knight?
No,
DLC?
it's we already have Plague Knight DLC. I think the next one was going to be Spectre Knight.
So the Spectre Knight DLC is going to be released on the first day. So that's pretty exciting. I do own Shovel Knight a lot. I have it for PC, which is probably the worst version.
I was gonna say you said you own it a lot, and I was gonna say did that, but it makes sense now.
Yeah, I bought it for 3DS because that was the first thing it came out on. I have it for Wii U, and I have it for Xbox One. So
yeah, and by the way, this stuff is worth it because each version, except for maybe PC and.
That's why PC's the worst.
Yeah.
The PC has no advantage over any of the other ones.
Yeah.
It has less content than all of the other versions.
Yeah, I only have it for PC.
Because the advantages of the others are they range from decent to significant. Like the PlayStation, I think 3 version has a fight with
PS4
PS4, excuse me, has a fight with Kratos from God of War. The Xbox One version has like a Battletoads racing segment. And the Wii U version, you'd think, oh, it's just another Nintendo release, but the Wii U version actually allows for multiplayer, so you can have a second Shovel Knight on the screen.
Yeah, and you need to have the amiibo to make it work, but
yeah.
I do. So I mean, you can see that the PC is version's the worst. Unfortunately, it has the least amount of features. But I got the Xbox One because I wanted that Battletoads stage. I do want the Kratos stage eventually as well, but I just feel stupid every time I buy the game again. So if it goes on sale like on PSN, I will certainly pick it up for sure. But I'm gonna wait to see if the Switch has any specific content. I think that Spectre of Torment is DLC is gonna show up on the other versions. I hope. I wouldn't think that would be a Switch exclusive. I don't know if
I don't think it would be either. I don't know. I think because I backed it on Kickstarter, and I think they said that all the DLC would come out for every console / system they made it for.
I don't think they would screw that.
No, that would make sense. Like the Plague Knight thing, I think was on everything, wasn't it?
Yes, and it was free.
That's cool.
Everybody who already owned the game got it for free, and it's a whole other campaign.
I'm curious as to what Spectre Knight's campaign would be like, because I mean, Plague Knight obviously is gonna have a different attack style and everything, but he runs and jumps. But the Spectre is just like a floating Grim Reaper with a scythe. Like, does he just
like
fly?
That character.
Yeah, Spectre Knight's probably my favorite knight, but like, I wonder how he's gonna play.
I love his stage's music too; it's so good.
And his fight's awesome.
Yeah, no, and his animation's probably my favorite out of all of them too.
And I think some people have said that his stage was where the game first like really gets hard, where it's just like now you got to fight this guy, and you're like, oh geez.
Great, I love this game, so I can't wait to play more of it. I actually haven't beaten the Plague Knight DLC yet, so I will probably get to that before I get to the Spectre of Torment, but. I'm excited. I mean, there's some cool stuff here. I mean, it'll be a little weak for probably the first year, which all systems are weak in the first year. But having a game like Zelda start you out, I mean,
that's the way to do it. Like, it's amazing that Nintendo hasn't really been doing like a straight Mario or Zelda game as its launch title for a while. Like, not since the 64.
Well,
like,
the Wii.
The Wii had a Mario Galaxy?
Princess. It had Twilight Princess.
Oh, yeah, that is true. I guess I keep forgetting that because that was supposed to be a GameCube title, but they kept pushing it back so they could like sort of simul-release.
They're doing the same thing now. I mean,
it's frustrating.
So in that sense, you couldn't necessarily consider it.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, it's a Wii U Zelda title with a
Wii U had a Mario game. It had Super Mario, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
Okay.
So
I guess I'm totally full of it.
They've been better about it recently. I mean, they shouldn't have had Luigi's Mansion as a launch game. It was a great game, but
it wasn't bad, but
ripped on it because it wasn't what they wanted.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're looking back that far, that was a mistake. I mean, Mario 64 released with the best game. The N64 released with Mario 64, which is fantastic. I mean,
that was probably one of the better moves they could have done, like Mario in 3D.
But I think the 3DS had a really weak launch. I didn't buy a 3DS.
I still see that like submarine game on shelves. I'm like, that's what they went with for the freaking launch
Steel
title.
Diver.
Thank you. I was like, steal something. It's like, really? Hey guys, want to play Steel Diver? I don't know what this is. I mean, it's probably a good game, but like, what the hell, Nintendo? Like, you don't have a freaking first party like IP that we're familiar with to acclimate us to your system.
Yeah, the 3DS was weak for a while, and then it got really good.
Yeah, now it's like one of the best systems on the market, like even compared to other home consoles. But like that launch was pretty awful.
And that's kind of why I don't like judging a console based off its release. I mean, you'd think that after a certain amount of time, companies will start to figure out how to release a console with games.
Well, no, speaking
but
of
every
which,
single console always seems to screw it up. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to judge them based on the games they release. I'll wait a little bit before judging them.
Well, no. Like, ironically, I actually thought the Wii U's launch was pretty strong. But then they didn't release any more games for it ever. It's just like,
the the first party output for the Wii U was actually pretty good.
It was quite strong, yeah.
It's just the third party output. I can't think of. I'm trying to think of any of third party games that I have for the system, and they're
Devil's Third.
Yeah, they're Shovel Knight and Devil's Third, and everything else is published by. Oh well, yeah. I mean. See, I'm trying to even think of exclusives that you would want to buy for the system that aren't made by Nintendo, and I can't think of any other than the
Fatal
two I
Frame
mentioned.
5.
Devil's Third is a piece of crap. I mean,
that's why I laughed when I said
it. But it's a fun piece of crap. But it's a piece of crap.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm basically interested in the Wii U for like Fatal Frame 5, Hyrule Warriors, and like Bayonetta 2.
I mean, the Wii U, gets a bad rap because the stuff that is for it is extremely high quality. I mean, Mario Kart 4 is probably the best Mario Kart ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the thing is, it gets crap because there's not a lot of good stuff on it.
Yeah,
like people don't necessarily consider it worth the money. Yeah,
I mean, it's also not a super expensive system either. I think it's just people grumble a lot.
No, it's not super expensive, but one major downside though is unlike I think every other video game system ever made, if you break your Wii U controller, you're fucked. Like you either have to send it into Nintendo to get it repaired or buy a new Wii U, because for some strange reason they do not sell those things individually.
You can get them from their website. You can get one.
Okay, and then I guess not in stores then.
Correct. Not in stores, but you can order one.
Okay.
They allow you to order it off their website.
Thank
They're
God.
expensive, but yeah.
I mean, well, the technology. To be fair, the technology for the tablet controller is pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's Pikmin 3, which is a great game.
Yeah, people were
Smash
hyped about
Brothers
that.
is great. The newest Smash Brothers is probably the best one.
It's the best one, but it's the one I want to play least because there's
really.
I mean, in terms of getting together with friends and playing Smash, yes, I will go to the Wii U immediately. But, like, I guess I should say it's the game I'm least interested in buying. I still don't own it because there's, like, nothing for, like, single player. It's just not worth it. Like, for Melee and Brawl, they had, like... Melee had an almost story campaign and those event modes, and Brawl had, like, a full-on story. And Smash U is, like, play multiplayer.
Well, that you can blame a lot of fans for that problem because they found that barely anybody played that story mode, even though it was awesome.
Yeah.
And they put a lot of effort into it, and
it's
they
a shame.
looked at the stats, and they found that almost nobody played it.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Which is a really big shame because there was a lot of really cool content in that, and it was a lot of really cool movies and stuff.
Had some surprisingly dark turns too.
Yeah, I mean, What else is great for that system? I mean, you have the NES Remix games were really fun.
Oh, there was Mario Maker.
Mario Maker's fantastic idea and fantastic execution. People loved it.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of great stuff for this system. Super Luigi Brothers is really good.
An overlooked one. Like no one like really paid attention to it, but if they actually played it, they would like it. Is that Captain Toad Treasure Tracker?
Oh, that's a great game too. I mean,
that was good. Yeah, I played that and I beat it in like a weekend because I was so
really fun.
engrossed in it.
There's Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, I mentioned that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just. I like the Wonderful 101 as well. I thought that was a lot of fun.
I heard that was really good. I had that recommended to me a few times. I was finally able to pick it up, but I have yet to. I still haven't plugged in my Wii U. Like I've said this on a few podcasts, but I'm just playing other stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, and then there's Fatal Frame 5.
That's like... I don't really buy systems for a particular game, and sure enough, even with the Wii U, there are several games I bought, but like, if I were to buy a system for a single game, that would have been it, Fatal Frame 5.
Yeah. I mean that's even just a smattering of things. I mean, there's Color Splash 2 as well, like Paper Mario Color Splash.
Mm-hmm.
There's every big Splatoon.
That Kirby Rainbow thing?
Forgot. Yeah. That one's Rainbow Curse.
Oh yeah, Splatoon. Yeah, that was surprisingly that we forgot that one. Splatoon almost like carried the system.
Thankfully, Splatoon 2 will be on the Wii U.
And by the way, I love
Switch.
that Splatoon is the first Nintendo IP in
Well, it's a
over
new
a
Splatoon.
decade.
Yeah, it'll be Splatoon 2 will be on the Switch, is what I said.
Yeah.
And it will have probably a lot of similar stuff in it. Like, it'll just be even more refined. That's a great game. I mean, I'm just happy because this will some of the games that are coming out for the Switch are going to be ports of Wii U games, but they're also going to be like the best Wii U games, and it'll give an opportunity for those games to get an audience. So
yeah, that would be nice.
I think a lot of people will get excited about the Switch and then have a reason to play these games for the first time.
Actually, one thing even though this doesn't fall under the Wii U game thing, one thing I'm rather excited about is Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that they'll get an audience, and I don't mind buying those really good games again if they're going to be even better. I really don't mind. I mean, I know I don't. I'm probably in the minority there with the way some people are, but I don't care. I want more people experience the games that I like. So, but anyway, I think we explored that topic pretty well. I can't wait, and I will report back on Tuesday probably on what I think about it all. So, having said that, I want to move on to our other segment. And I know Lotus is
I am chomping at the bit for this one.
This
is kind of the greatest thing. Okay, so 9 years ago, so it was easily missed if you just didn't pay attention to it then.
I had no idea about it.
In fact, now that I think about it, no, okay, yeah, that'd be 2008. So like relatively new YouTube, because YouTube was founded in like 06. There was a channel called lasagnacat, you know, like Garfield's, because what this channel would do was it would take like just sort of lame Garfield comics and just act them out and show you just how not funny it is when you actually see this stuff happen. So this is stuff that's really hard to describe, but there's a guy, like, the guy would have surprising attention to detail. Like, he would dress in the color of the shirt that John's wearing and have like a John's hair wig on, and he'd have some friend of his dress up as this crappy like Garfield costume. Same goes for Odie if he were ever in the comic. And there would be stuff where you would just see Garfield walk up to Odie with like this big bone, and he's just like, "Oh man, I'm gonna let Odie have it," and he like rears the bone back to hit him. And then John walks in, and Garfield's like, "Oh!" And then he just puts the bone behind him and starts using it as a back scratcher. And John just stares at him, and that's the sketch. And then you just hear like this really like ah ha 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 like laugh track.
And then it shows you the skit.
Then it shows you the actual comic it was based on, and it's like, see how lame this is. So that would take up maybe like 20 seconds, and then after that there'd be just this whole sketch tangentially related to the comic. There might be like a music video or something. Like, it was an unnecessary amount of effort to go into like making fun of this Garfield comic. One of my favorites, like, because Mr. Ryu's the guy who showed us this channel in the first place, but one of the sketches that made me laugh the hardest was just this really like old crappy like pre-RPG maker, like, I don't know what program this was, but make your own RPG. So like, you know how everyone got on that back in the day, and they made like a battle and then stopped because no one's gonna make an entire freaking RPG. So like, someone made this just weird like 2D looking neighborhood and just had Garfield moving around it, and then he got into a fight, and it was just like a Final Fantasy VI fight with like FF6 moves. But the funniest part is at the end of the fight, it did the victory fanfare, and then it goes back to moving around. It starts with the fight, and after the fight, you're moving around the neighborhood. And then you go into the player goes into the menu, and you see Jim Davis as one of the party members. And Jim Davis is the creator of Garfield, for those who don't know. And he highlights Jim Davis, and you know how you could check out various characters, like, I forgot how old FFX worked, but you could check out their stats, and like, I think there's magic spells and there's skills, because there's this one character in FF6 who could learn skills by like devouring monsters. And so if he highlights Jim Davis's skills and presses X to select, and it just goes like like meaning there's no skills. It was like the funniest goddamn thing. And then the video just ends. I was like crying when I saw that. So this was a really funny channel that was made 9 years ago, and it's too bad I didn't know about it, because like Mr. Ryu introduced it to us. I'm like, oh man, these videos are really funny. And then I learned that all of them were 9 years old. Like the channel had long since died, and I was like, oh man, like but all of a sudden a few days ago, like last week, that channel releases a trailer that it's coming back, and it's like, wait, what, really? Like, and but what's really funny is it's being done like movie trailer style, where like John is talking to Garfield. He's like, why would this old channel that's like a meme at this point come back almost a decade later? Like, and it was really funny. And sure enough, they released a lot of content at once. Like, one of the things in the trailer was like, it gave you a shout out to like a sex hotline that turned out to actually exist. You could call into this, and it's like, this is Garfield, what's your name? And you just like answer basic questions. And then when the channel launched, it released like a straight up 4-hour video of like everyone who answered the sex hotline, and it was like the coolest thing ever.
And they acted it out. Like, there's like, this is like they filmed for over 4 hours.
Yeah,
like,
this is an insane amount.
One joke that nobody is going to watch
over and over again.
Yeah, it's the same old sketch from like a really like it's supposed to be a really
but
really
what made me really happy though
over
is that with these old videos this channel had done, it was a very unnecessary amount of effort to go into making fun of the comics, because there's the acting out, which is funny, and that would have been good enough for the channel by itself. But then like the music video, the RPG Maker stuff, like this guy really put a lot of effort into like just mocking these comics. Like, as someone on the YouTube comments described, like, this is like basically the ultimate form of shitposting. Like, you took a lot of time and effort to make this work.
Not only that, but like as they keep repeating this joke, but with like a different stupid punchline, which is just the person's like voice over that hotline.
No, I don't even mean the hotline. I mean just like the comics they're making fun of. But yeah,
I'm what I'm saying is, the day progresses. Like it gets progressively darker.
Yep.
like it's getting later.
Yeah.
Like it's happening in real time.
Yeah, they put a lot of effort. And speaking of which, by the way, they also released a whole bunch of new, like the old style videos he did, where he would make fun of more comics and have like a sketch at the end. But now there was a freaking ton of time and effort put into this stuff, and what looks like a really big budget. Like, this is like actual professional music video quality, like, stuff they're using to make fun of the videos. Like, one of my
cameras, lighting, everything.
They went all out. Like, one of my favorites was, it was just a comic where again, they do the sketch first, but the sketch in the comic where, same thing, of course, where John is holding an empty picture frame, and he's like, hey, Garfield, what do you think of my new frame? And Odie's standing behind it. So Garfield sees Odie's face in the frame, and he screams. And he's like, oh, I thought it was a mirror. And it's like, again, that's hilarious. You, like, really got us. But, like, the sketch after that, they took so much effort. Like, I don't know how they think of how to do the sketches, because it goes to a sketch, and it's got to be related to the comic in some way. And you see it's done like this Hotline Miami, like, sleazy, driving at night in a shitty town style video, where, like, Garfield's got this, like, punk bandana on, Odie's wearing, like a gold chain necklace, they're both badasses, they're driving in a car that's black with lasagnacat and orange written on it, so they got a fucking car for this and decorated it. Like, this is what I'm talking about. They're driving through the night, like, Odie's packing, like, a small shotgun. They're just driving, and there's very little dialogue. Like, it's being done like one of those movies where, like, it shows the car's wheels as it's just going down the road endlessly. This goes on for, like, 20 seconds. Like, there's a lot of establishing shots, and then finally, they pull up to this payphone, and there's this big neon light, like neon lit sign above it that says like, "Am I a dog?" And like on the right, there's like a street sign or something that says like, "This is me." And like Garfield walks up to the payphone, and he dials a number, and then you see John just in his house, like, "Hello," and like this moody music is playing, and Garfield's on the phone. He's just like, "John," and John's like, "Yeah, Garfield, is that you?" "John, when you showed me that frame, that was Odie standing behind the frame, right?" And John's like, yeah, it was. "Why?" And Garfield is just like, well, again, moodily staring at the phone for a while. "I thought it was a mirror." And then he just like hangs up, and then like Odie gets out of the car, and there's this like boat tied to a dock that's nearby. They like threaten the guy on the boat with the gun, just push him aside, take over the boat and sail away, and you could see on the back of the boat, it like the name of the boat, written on it is a long word. I forgot what it is, but it's the phobia. That's like the fear of mirrors. It's like this moody like indie film thing, and that's how the sketch ends. It's like, wow, dude. It's so funny.
You should tell the audience about how
I'll tell you the other thing that's even better.
The main one ends like the one we were talking about, the one with the sex hotline.
Oh, that's like a freaking existential crisis. That one, honestly, that gets into surprisingly not safe for work like territory. You should see it for yourself.
There's nudity in it, and it's nudity you didn't want to see.
Yeah. No, the main thing I want to talk about, actually, the one that really got me, possibly even more than the freaking like Hotline Miami one, was, I don't even remember what the comic was, honestly, but the video that came after it was hysterical because it was done to... It was what high school kids in the early 2000s would have done if they were making their own video. Where they're wearing black shirts and they're fighting with like katanas and, oh man, I'm gonna make a video out of this. So it was this really well done, really shitty backyard fight, and it's always made all the more funny because high school kids don't have a freaking budget, so even if they are doing these cool moves and they're wearing sunglasses and fighting guns, it's like it's in their brightly lit picket fence backyard. It's like it's always really funny just to see that.
My favorite part is that it's the guy wearing the Garfield costume doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's wielding the katana.
Yeah.
And when he's like flailing it around and like whipping it around, the head of the costume like clearly is turned all the way from his head.
It's so
the
good.
guy in there cannot see, and he has to like readjust it like halfway through.
It's great.
It's really funny.
No, but what got me with the backyard fight though was that the backyard fight was done as like a Windows Movie Maker project, and it opens the way the old style Windows Movie Maker did, with like the sky blue background with the white text that scrolls. Yeah. Like this is my movie, and it's really great because you watch this goofy fight happening, and while it's happening, you see Garfield and Odie like typing to each other on like an AIM window. So whenever a cool move happens, they're like, "Whoa, how'd you get that like the flare coming off the medallion?" It's like, "Oh, it was easy. I just used this like effect in this program." It was so funny, and they're typing with like internet language too, like, oh, LOLK and like stuff like that. It's really funny, and they got this like edgy music playing in the backgrounds. Like it not the same video, but like the one where Garfield's just standing around wielding a katana. Like it was like "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor" because that was the cool
so
music
good.
You would have listened to at the time. So they got this fight going on, and it's like a poorly made video. There's one part where between scenes, clearly they didn't splice their footage together correctly. So you see for like a half a second, the whole screen just says unrendered footage, and like it goes back to the fight. You could see they tried green screening their backyard, so like past the tree line, like they must have deleted a picture on their editing program that they're not using anymore, because you see Garfield and Odie posing in their backyard, and the sky does that thing Adobe Premiere does where it's red and it says media offline. I was freaking dying when I saw that. So like that's the green screen background. It says media offline. I'm like, nice. It's so good. But what really got me though, this is the part that got me. lasagnacat did not just come back like last week. They've been coming back and we didn't know. because
Really?
Yeah, because over the fight, like I said, Garfield and Odie are typing to each other in AIM, and Garfield is like Cat619 or some name like that, and Odie is like Darth Maul like 1143. Like it's like some like very topical name that doesn't hold up anymore. But what's funny is if you actually, those are real YouTube channels, both of them, and if you look them up, the Garfield one is just Garfield's like swinging around his katana looking cool, or doing an extreme bike move, or doing like a let's play with face cam of like one level of Joe and Mac. I was like, what? It's so good. And there's one video where it's like kicking Odie in the balls, and like it's just like clearly the guy's holding the camera as he's moving around, and he runs with the Odie, kicks him, and he's just like, oh, and then on Odie's channel he has like revenge kicking Garfield back in the ball. Odie has like a song he wants you to play. They have been making these
for years.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like I said, the backyard fight, they were AIM texting over it, but the backyard fight video was uploaded 4 years ago. It's 4 fucking years ago. It's been here the whole time. Nobody knew. So like everyone who took the initiative to look up those usernames were like, their minds were blown. Like,
there's tons of content.
LasagnaCat's been making stuff.
Seen.
Yeah, LasagnaCat has been making stuff. Like,
that's
awesome. Could not believe it. Oh, and by the way, one more thing about the video where Garfield's standing by himself swinging like a katana around. Also really funny high school cringe stuff that like you might have uploaded online and now regret, you know. But what really cracked me up about it, again, it was done in broad daylight in front of like some garbage cans on the street, which is kind of funny by itself. And again, like with the body, let the bodies hit the floor is playing, where he's just like cha, and just doing like cool poses with the katana. But what really got me, like what really made it feel authentic, like obviously it's a guy in a freaking Garfield suit doing it for parody purposes, but like what really captured the realism of like when you would have done it back then. Yeah, what got me? Of all things, the music helped, the cool swings, and like, whatcha, look at me, like, that stuff helped, but what really, just icing on the cake, honestly, is whenever he would do a cool pose, when he was done, he would reposition himself, he would slightly back up or slightly walk toward the camera, depending how he moved, and as he's doing that, to reset, to do another cool move, it's hard to describe, but if you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's like if you're a tennis player. Do you ever do this with a tennis racket or a golf club? Do you ever just kind of twirl it in your hand a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, kind of flip it around? Like, he was doing that, and that's just... That's so perfect. Like, that just nailed it for me. Just like, I got my cool katana, flipping it around a little bit, just so I'm keeping my hands busy. Like... It's oh my god, it got me so good. Like, you must look up this freaking lasagnacat channel. Like, it's the best.
That existential crisis. Oh my god.
Yeah, at the end of the phone sex survey, like which is 4 hours long. Yeah, there's this weird like indie movie like what is life thing going on, and it ends in a surprisingly disturbing way, but it's funny because of what it is.
The punchline is pretty funny. It's just like John Arbuckle, 2 partners, and then the cat, the real cat, looks at him and he's like, John, 0 partners.
Oh yeah. It was always like full, like, yeah, give me your name and a number. So it was like, Lotus Prince 2 or whatever. But yeah, it was like, so yeah, John. But no, it was John and John. There was the real cat looking at him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, John comes into the house. John Arbuckle 2, and then John inside the house is like, John Arbuckle 0, and he just closes the door, and there's just like, whoa, oh my god. And then it goes into like surprisingly disturbing territory. It's pretty funny, but like
there's a guy dressed up as a tribal Garfield.
It's great, but no,
he's naked.
But no, you
like really naked, and it shows everything, and you're like, ugh.
It's way out there. But no, you really gotta look at just the basic comic videos, like the 2 or 3 minute ones, because the amount of effort they go into taking the basic concept in the comic and making fun of it in a new and unique way is just like, I've never seen such dedication to again use someone else's words, but I've never seen such time, effort, and now freaking money going into shitposting about Jim Davis. I mean, that's oddly specific, but shitposting in general. But like about Jim Davis, like, this is ridiculous. So like, And now the people on YouTube are joking like, "Well, see you in another 9 years." but this is gold stuff. Look up lasagnacat on YouTube. You will not be sorry.
Having said that, I know Pyro wanted to say a quick word about one thing he's really excited about.
Yeah, so there was this game that I played back in. When was the original game out? Was that when we were in
like 2004,
2003? Or high school?
What was it again?
Planescape Torment.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I'm bad with these.
So I know that when it came out, I was into D&D. I just played the Baldur's Gate games, and this game like really stuck with me. It was the first game of that type that I actually beat, and I loved it so much that I bought the book for Planescape Torment.
Oh.
And like the story is pretty amazing because it's about a guy who can't die. He wants to die, and he's looking for a way to die, but he cannot die. He always comes back to the beginning of the game, or he comes back into the morgue, basically, of that world.
1999.
90 what?
99.
99,
Same time period as the Dreamcast.
So on Kickstarter a few years ago, there was a game that was put on Kickstarter called Torment Tides of Numenera, and right away I'm like, is this supposed to be like a similar game to Planescape? And it's supposed to be a spiritual sequel to it. So I backed it right away, and it's taken like 3 to 5 years for them to actually finish it, but it's finally coming out on Tuesday.
Nice.
Or came out on Tuesday, I should say. So I'm looking forward to trying it. Hopefully I'll get to play it before our next podcast so I can talk about it a little bit. The thing is, it's not a D&D game anymore. It's a whole new world they created. So that's why it's a spiritual sequel and not an actual sequel. And
Still
the world
really cool.
sounds really interesting. I looked at the books because they actually are making an RPG for this world as well, like a paper and pencil RPG. And I looked through the books, and it seems really interesting and weird. So I just wanted to mention that I'm really excited that it's coming out and that I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yeah, this is one of those games that always shows up on like best games of all time lists, like
Yes.
Planescape Torment.
Mm-hmm.
And
The story was amazing.
Supposedly has one of the best stories of all time in a video game, and I just neglected playing it because when this era of PC games was when I dropped off of PC playing. Like I played before this and I played after this, but this is actually one of like the heyday of Western RPGs. This is when people say like the best Western RPGs were made.
Mm-hmm.
Like Baldur's Gate is one of the best, like people's favorite. And then moving on through all of those, the Icewind Dale games and Neverwinter Nights, people love those games, and this is one of them, and it's probably considered to be the best out of them all. Even trumps Baldur's Gate, which people still really love, but I just never had a chance to play it. So
Yeah.
I was really excited when GOG got the rights to sell this game, because it was also one of those games that was also really hard to get running on your PC and obtain for a long time. And then they finally were able to, distribute it online. It was like the number one game for a really long time that people wanted on GOG.
Yeah, I used to really like these kinds of games, like Baldur's Gate, Planescape, Torment. I also wanted to play the Icewind Dale trilogy games. Those were a very similar type of game. But then also, recently, Pillars of Eternity came out, which is another game that I kickstarted, which is very similar. And I played it for a while, but I kind of fell off of it because you really need a lot of dedication to those games, because it's very, I don't want to say tactical because it's not a grid-based system, but just like in D&D, you have to be very aware of who you're fighting and what your party members can do and all that sort of stuff. I played on normal thinking that I would have the time and the patience for it, but if I go back to it, I might switch it back to easy just so I can play the game, because I heard the story is actually really good. Good enough that a game that was Kickstarted is actually getting a sequel. So I want to try Torment. We'll see how it goes. I might just fall off that as well, but I am looking forward to getting a Planescape Torment for this generation, I guess you could say.
I I always wanted to kind of get into these kinds of games. Like this is also the era in which Fallout 1 and 2 came out. You know,
they're the same kind of game.
Yeah, I never really got into this type of Western RPG until probably Mass Effect. When Mass Effect came around, like the original Mass Effect is when I started playing Western RPGs again, and then of course Fallout 3 came out and as well. But I never really got into the Elder Scrolls games. So like I have always kind of wanted to go back to this era, and this era also spawned KOTOR as well. Knights of the Old Republic is kind of like
it's basically a 3D version of these games.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the evolution of Baldur's Gate, right? So it's even made by the same guys. So I always wanted to go back and play this one specifically because I hear nothing but awesome praise about it, and it's not even really combat based.
It's not. It's very much dialogue based,
and I love that. I'm all about that. Like great writing in a video game. Like like people love the writing in this game. So I need to make myself play this and then play the spiritual successor. So I'm excited as well. But I'm gonna play Zelda first.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the problem. Is I know that Horizon came out this week too.
I really want to play that too.
So I'm thinking that I'm just gonna find a few hours that I'll just play this game, see if I like it or not, and know that I'll get back to it eventually.
This is a really rough time for me because there's so many good things that I really want to play. I mean, there's still Resident Evil 7 that I haven't gotten to, and this Torment game, Zelda, Horizon Zero Dawn, and I have Neo, and I only played a little bit of it so far. So I know I'm gonna put Neo down and never played it for like a long time because I'm gonna be playing Zelda and I'm gonna play that forever.
Yep.
But that's gonna be one of those games where I'm like I come home from work and like I'm immediately play Zelda. Like that's the way it's gonna be for a while. So I'm excited for this time, and it's a really great time to be on YouTube too. So
yeah, and it's a great time to be playing video games. There's all these new games coming out, new console, all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, having said all that, this is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs up, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps us promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps to keep the show going. So you can catch us on Tuesday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, and the podcast about our lives and pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as VyseTheBold on VyseTheBold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and Twitter. How about you guys?
Well, as for me, you can follow me on YouTube. My account name is Lotus Prince, and you can also follow me on Twitter for a more direct social experience. And I am at Lotus Prince, all one word.
And if you look for me, you'll find me. PyroJackFrost.
Well, we'll catch everybody on Tuesday on Corrective Consciousness. Catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye, everyone.